This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. I'm Chris Ensing in for Katerina tonight. We start with a visit from a federal minister here in the city and a look at two projects the government believes can help solve the housing crisis. Dawson Chen reports.
Canada's housing crisis can be addressed by improving home construction technology. That was the message in Windsor from Evan Solomon, Federal Minister of AI and Digital Innovation, as well as the Minister in charge of FedDev Ontario. The Government of Canada is putting almost $12 million in Southern Ontario businesses and organizations using cutting-edge home building methods like automated wall manufacturing and 3D printing.
The federal government is only as good as the innovators. Rising housing prices, limited supply have created pressure, but we can alleviate that pressure to build smarter, faster, more sustainable homes. It's never been more urgent because the goal for all of us is to make housing more accessible and more affordable.
There are two Windsor-Essex beneficiaries of the funding. Tecumseh-based home building company BK Cornerstone Design Build will get $2.5 million to upgrade its automated manufacturing of wall components, known as panelization. Co-owner Brent Klundert says the technology can reduce home construction costs by 10% and speed up build times.
We're reducing costs through technology. However, we're coming up with a solution that is actually better what currently is available in the marketplace. We're building these components. Typically, the framing stage of a house takes 2 to 3 weeks. We'll be able to do them in 1 day.
Meanwhile, the University of Windsor will receive $2 million to further its project of using 3D printed materials to build a 3-story net zero home. Civil engineering professor Srikanta Das says that when the house is completed next spring, it will be the tallest of its kind.
This is just a regular concrete you see in any other concrete building. Instead of using formwork, we use a printer to print this. We Canadian construction company kind of behind this, and our goal is to push the technology to the regular construction stream so that people adapt it and use it and faster, right?
According to Solomon, this will all mean a quickly growing supply of affordable homes.
Speeding up the process, lowering the cost, that's the way to build affordable housing.
Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
We've been dealing with a hot, dry summer this year. The CBC's Emma Loop takes a look at the impact this season might have on monarch butterflies.
The hot, dry summer we've been having isn't just crisping up your lawn. It's burning up some of the monarch butterflies' favorite foods. That's got experts particularly worried about the endangered pollinator this year.
We are anticipating a negative impact because of this combined effect of really extreme temperatures this summer and this drought that is sort of going to have this double whammy on them.
Monarchs feed on plant nectar, especially milkweed. It's also where they lay their eggs and what the caterpillars munch on before becoming a chrysalid. They need to eat a lot to fuel their epic fall migration to Mexico. Karuba and her team just released 25 monarchs into the field. She says the heat and lack of rain has already killed off many food sources.
And then for those flowers that are still here that have not been killed off, we've already observed that the quality of the nectar has changed. And so we are anticipating that that will have additional impacts on the monarch.
But in Canada's most southern tip, a growing number of people are taking monarch survival into their own hands. Leo Silvestri calls himself the milkweed man. The retired house painter has transformed his modest, cemented city yard into a butterfly's paradise. He leads a local Facebook group devoted to monarch conservation.
After COVID struck, that was our good fortune, because a lot of people were locked down and they didn't know what to do. And now all of a sudden they kept joining and joining.
The group has gone from a few hundred people to more than 4,000 in recent years. Members share information, seeds, and plans to create pollinator habitats. Some, like Leo, also rear monarchs themselves. He says the weather hasn't really affected his butterflies so far.
It seems like everybody is pretty happy. Our group is happy. Every day we see the post on the group. They're releasing 5, 6, whatever they raised.
Karuba says there's increasing evidence that urban gardens like Silvestri's play a big role in pollinator protection.
Really, those small areas are key. And so they are playing a sort of like higher importance or relatively more weight than you would have thought based on the smallness or the size of those gardens. So yeah, the extent to which that people can have native wildflowers throughout the season would be really helpful for these monarchs.
Silvestri and others will be releasing dozens of home-reared monarchs on Sunday as part of the 5th annual Butterfly Festival. He says the festival in Little Italy is the only one of its kind in North America. Emma Loop, CBC News, Windsor.
The lockout continues at Titan Tool and Die in Windsor. It started last week but escalated Thursday afternoon. Unifor says management's taking the remaining raw materials out of the shop. They're calling it an act designed to provoke employees. Here's what it looked like yesterday afternoon. The union says that truck's pulling in to take steel out of the business. Unifor is accusing management of taking profits from this company and investing it in an American operation. There's been up to 60 people working there this year. Many have been laid off, though, before the lockout, according to Unifor 195. Titan Tool and Die was given an injunction earlier this year after union workers tried to block equipment from leaving the plant. The company has not replied to requests for comment. Khalil joins us live here with a look at the weather. A lot of red, a lot of orange on that thing there. We got a big weekend planned. What are we looking at here?
So we're looking at maybe a little bit of rain actually entering the picture. So we saw really warm temperatures today. I'm looking at the real temperature at the moment, 26 degrees in the city of Windsor. We do have a little bit warmer temperatures up towards our nation's capital. What we can know and what we can expect over the next little while is it's going to be pretty nice overnight tonight. And then there's possibly a bit of a shift, Chris, as we're going towards the weekend. We're going to look at temperatures tomorrow in the mid-20s. Once again, just kind of what we're seeing at the moment. But there is a possibility of rain, about 40% re-entering that picture for us over the next little while. So we can see that really start to affect us over the next little bit. And that's going to continue through the rest of the weekend and also Monday and Tuesday as well, Chris.
All right, we'll check in with you again in a bit here. Thanks, Cliff.
Sounds good.
An OPP officer has been cleared of any criminal responsibility after a Leamington woman suffered a concussion while in his cruiser. Now, that's according to Ontario's Special Investigations Unit. This goes back to October 2024, when a 45-year-old woman was arrested for a domestic disturbance. The officer braked hard for a yellow light on the way back to the detachment with the woman in the back of the cruiser. Now, that abrupt stop caused the woman to hit the partition in the vehicle. She didn't have her seatbelt on. That's because her hands were cuffed and the officer didn't put her seatbelt on in the back. Police say that buckling people up in the back seat isn't part of their routine practice. That said, the SIU found the officer followed a reasonable standard of care. A Windsor company has installed solar panels in some of Nunavut's northernmost communities, part of an effort to reduce reliance on diesel fuel for power generation. TJ Deere brings us this story from Iqaluit.
Power in Nunavut comes mainly from diesel fuel, shipped up during the summer sealift season. Depending on where the community is, they may only receive one delivery each year. But a company from Windsor, Ontario is working to change that. Over the past 4 months, Green Sun Rising has installed solar panels in 4 communities in Nunavut's high Arctic. They've been installed through a Quillic Energy Corporation program, where the electricity generated is bought by the corporation and sold back to communities. Klaus Doring is the president of Green Sun Rising. He says the company has built relationships with communities across Inuit Nunangat.
Starting in the Northwest Territories, we worked our way across the north into Nunavut and Nunavik and Nunatsiavut, etc. So by now, all Inuit land settlement organizations are clients of ours.
One of the communities where panels have been installed is the northernmost in the country, Grise Fjord. Figures from the company say the panels there can generate more than 99,000 kilowatt hours of power per year, but the territory's power supplier has placed limits on how much of that power can reach the community. David General is Grise Fjord's senior administrative officer. He says it's disappointing that the community can't take full advantage of their system.
The federal government obviously is really pushing hard on, alternative energy. So a lot of money was invested by the feds in the system. But also we invested a lot of time, and every project takes administrative work.
And in a community where food is very expensive and flights don't frequently come and go, that limits the revenue from generating the power. Doring says they're also not happy about the limits, but he says there's a reason for the cap, giving time to adapt to the system.
The main point is that as experience builds up and as confidence builds up, let us go back and open up the numbers. And ideally, I would like to see no restrictions in the future, but that's going to be a journey.
The Quillic Energy Corporation did not provide a comment by broadcast time. TJ Deere, CBC News, Iqaluit.
As we've been sharing with you on the program, times are tough in Windsor. High unemployment rates, more people are relying on emergency shelters than before. They're bursting at the seams in some cases on colder nights. But here in the summer, we found that people are searching for a safe place to crash at night, and we met Mo Kwan. Our video producer, Mike Evans, met with him this week and got a sense of what it's like to get through a day when you're living rough and how he does a simple chore that most of us might take for granted.
To the river, and that is the way it is. Look. I'm a grower for tomatoes and to Colasantes and Jim for a couple of years, and then I was living in Leamington for 7 years. I came into Windsor because Windsor is a warm place and to be, and a beautiful place. Been see all the country, but the Windsor, everyone come in Windsor, you will go and return back to Windsor.
Have the police said that you have to move on, and what would you do if they told you had to move on? Where would you go?
If they'll move, I can move. Because actually I've been all around, even the police come in a few places and they said he cannot be in here. And then I have to ask them where I have to go, where is comfortable, and I have to go there. What I have to do is make cooperation, and then I don't have a problem with them.
You've got a very strong work ethic. Every time I see you, you're hustling, you're trying to work, right? That's what you're doing out here. You're not just sitting by idly.
Yeah, so you have to work, you have to go and keep trying, because it's a job everywhere, and then let them see your job, what he's doing, and then with the quality, you can get more people and you get a job, because what is abundant is a job. Every job is important, and I find work is not about a job, it's about you have to prove yourself for 90 days to prove out your quality of work and to company and then to yourself.
Do you mind giving me a demonstration of how you were doing your laundry in the river?
Use a lard pail. You can wash all your clothes, because it's not the first time washing in what I call washing in a river. I've been washing in a river everywhere, and then washing in a river is more important and much faster and clean more than a machine. Go down, yeah. And then you are out with the clean water. And then what you do? Those ones, you wash them in your hand, you see the color change. What do you call it? You squeeze them.
We want to introduce you now to a photographer from Petrolia. Here's his photo. It's a young raccoon looking into the camera lens, a little wet, a little disheveled. That snap earned the man behind the camera some big recognition with Canadian Geographic.
I'm actually fairly new to wildlife photography in general. I only started about 5 months ago, so the fact that I'm even considered in a runner-up is just mind-boggling to me. I was looking for a bit of a hobby to kind of get me out in nature a little bit more, right? I have a good friend. He ended up convincing me to buy some new camera gear because he's been doing wildlife photography for a while. I was like, okay, well, if I'm going out on these trails anyways, I might as well bring a good camera with me and just capture what I see and share whatever I see with people on social media, right? This photo, I was out doing my after work rounds one night. This was taken in Marthaville, right outside of Petrolia, my hometown. I came out of my car and I saw a little raccoon brushing around in the grass, and I was like, oh. So I would go and I kind of squatted down next to it and I started taking some pictures of it, and it just didn't mind that I was there at all. It ended up just posing for me. It kept looking up at me, trying to assess if I was a threat or not. I was there taking pictures of it for about 10-15 minutes, and then eventually it kind of retreated back into the woods. And this photo isn't necessarily so much about it being an extremely cool story or anything. I find that it's more about capturing like the everyday things, right? The more that I've learned about birds and just all sorts of different animals that are around, like there's a lot out there to be discovered. It's just, you kind of have to open your eyes a little bit. And it's honestly fascinating once you start looking for them, and you'd be surprised just how much is out there.
Here's something out there, the corn of Tecumseh. That raccoon loved to get its hands on there. The corn doesn't shuck itself, though. This is a large machine that does all of this. The husks literally shaken off. Still requires the help of a lot of hands, though. There's a nod to all the volunteers who turned out for the big shuck for Tecumseh's big event, the annual Corn Fest. Take a live look outside there as we see the sun pouring down on top of us, but we hear rain could be in the forecast. We'll check in with a full look at that later in the show. More news next. Welcome back. Canada is changing tactics in its trade war with the United States. The Prime Minister says next month, Canada will remove all tariffs on goods from the United States that are covered by the CUSMA trade deal. The announcement came after a phone call with U.S. President Donald Trump. Olivia Stefanovich has more.
A major strategy shift in the trade war with the U.S.
I'm announcing today that the Canadian government will now match the United States by removing all of Canada's tariffs on U.S. goods specifically covered under CUSMA.
The Prime Minister says 25% levies on American goods will be scrapped for those products that comply with the Canada-United States-Mexico agreement.
Part of this is getting to a better balance with the United States.
Mark Carney says U.S. President Donald Trump assured him in a phone call on Thursday the move will kickstart negotiations on a new trade deal between the two countries.
We are working on something. We want to be very good to Canada. I like Carney a lot. I think he's a good person.
Today we learned that it has been yet another capitulation and climb down by Mark Carney. His elbows have mysteriously gone missing.
The announcement may have scored favors with the White House, but Carney is facing heavy criticism from political opponents.
He promised he would have elbows up. He promised he could, quote, handle Trump, and that he would, quote, negotiate a win. Those are his promises, and he needs to be judged by his word.
Although most countermeasures will be lifted, Carney is making some exceptions. Tariffs will remain on U.S. steel, autos, and aluminum, industries hit hard by the president.
It is not necessary that Canada retains free trade with the United States. What is necessary is that it retains preferential access to the United States better than what everyone else has got.
Carney insists Canada has the best trade deal with the U.S. The Prime Minister says consultations on a new agreement will begin next month. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
Famine has been declared in Gaza City and surrounding areas by a UN-backed agency that monitors global hunger. The famine, it says, is the result of fighting, aid blockades, and widespread displacement. Margaret Evans reports.
It's actually extremely rare for the IPC to issue famine declarations. There have only been 4 over the past 25 years, or 4 others, I should say. 1 in Sudan, 2 in South Sudan, 1 in Somalia. Now we have one specific to Gaza City and the towns immediately around it. There are very specific criteria to warrant a famine declaration. The report today says that there needs to be 1 out of 5 households experiencing extreme food shortages. 1 out of 3 children, mostly under 5, need to be suffering from acute malnutrition, and at least 2 of every 10,000 deaths would be from outright starvation or underlying causes related to starvation. The United Nations has been very strong in its condemnation of what's happening on the ground in Gaza. They say that the starvation, the famine in place existing right now is man-made and preventable. Have a listen.
It is a famine openly promoted by some Israeli leaders as a weapon of war. It is a famine on all of our watch. Everyone owns this. The Gaza famine is the world's famine.
Israel has rejected the report out of hand. It says it is based on inaccurate information. It calls it unfounded propaganda fed to aid agencies by Hamas. It also says that the report fails to take into account what Israel says have been extensive humanitarian measures in recent weeks. This is all taking place, of course, as Israel says it has begun the early stages of a major ground invasion in Gaza City, in addition to the aerial campaign already underway there and throughout the rest of the Gaza Strip. They say they are going to root out the remnants of Hamas. They also say that they'll be moving hundreds of thousands of Palestinians out of Gaza City as that full-scale invasion grows closer. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Jerusalem.
All right, welcome back here, Khalil, with our look at the forecast. The big Friday one, Corn Fest. We got a butterfly release happening.
Everything.
We've got, a bunch of stuff that people can have fun doing. But you're saying a little bit of rain possibly, eh?
Possibly. It's not going to be a complete washout by any means, Chris. They're saying it could be a millimeter or two here and there over parts of the weekend. What you can really like over the weekend and really enjoy is the possibility of some really warm weather. So I'll get to that. So a bit of rain maybe Saturday, drier on Sunday, but then there's going to be a cool down, but that's going to be once we get back to work on Monday and Tuesday. So looking at the temperature currently, this is the humidex value. We do have a 30-degree humidex in the city of Windsor at the moment, so that's really, really warm. One of the hottest spots in the country still at this point, maybe a tad warmer in Montreal. I'm looking over towards the west coast, 27 in Vancouver with the humidex. On the other side of the country, 10 degrees in St. John's. I've been looking at that over the last couple of days being like, oh, I don't know if I really want to be in that at this time. I'm kind of liking the 26 degrees, which is our feel temperature at the moment in the city of Windsor. And also all through southwestern Ontario, there's going to be about a mid-20 feeling. As you get towards our nation's capital, 30 degrees is still the temperature there. What we're looking at over the next little bit, I was mentioning possibility of rain. Nothing through the overnight hours. As you go towards tomorrow afternoon, I'm looking at 3 o'clock as that green starts to get towards southwestern Ontario and also towards Sarnia, as you are going to see that start to pick up. And through from about 3 to 7, that's going to really be the heaviest part of any rainfall that comes for the city of Toronto, especially for our Saturday. Sunday is still a little bit too far to read any of that. But through the overnight, Saturday into Sunday morning, it should clear out and be pretty dry. So anywhere from 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, that is going to be the brunt of the wet weather that we will encounter for tomorrow. So looking at the overnight temperature, dropping down to 16 degrees under mostly clear sky, just a few clouds here and there around southwestern Ontario between Windsor and London. And then as we go towards tomorrow afternoon, it's still going to be really warm. We have a 40% chance of rain, 26 degrees, and all through southwestern Ontario, maybe a scatter of rain here and there. And then through the next couple of days, you're going to experience a pretty nice Sunday with 25 degrees. And then come Monday and Tuesday, we're still expecting maybe a bit of rain, but a bit of a cool down as well, mixed in with that, with only a high of 21 degrees. So enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, no, enjoy the weekend, and that cool off has been nice as well. Thanks for this, Bill.
Okay, no problem.
And that is it for us here at CBC Windsor News. Go to the website, cbc.ca/Windsor for all your news, and enjoy your weekend if you can.